Throw those rascals in the truck bed and hitch up the trailer, Mama. It's time for another half-baked episode of Nature Calls.
Welcome, everyone, to the Nature Calls podcast. My name is Mr. Pete. I'm your host for the show. I'm not sure you're aware of this or not, but most of the tales we tell are stories about things that go wrong, like things that spin completely out of control. Well, today is definitely no exception. The story we're about to hear has it all: hunting, turkeys, old farts with shotguns, and best of all, a made-for-radio near-death experience. So gather around, kiddies, and welcome to the Nature Calls Story Hour.
Nothing better than a long beard in a sack. Martha Washington, 1762. The Silverado's air conditioning had stopped working long ago, so the windows were down and warm October air gushed through the cab at 60 miles per hour. I had the grill pointed north on Highway 395. Out my left window were the Sierras, a spine of granite mountains covered in forests of Douglas fir, manzanita, and mountain mahogany. Either a firefighter's dream come true or their worst nightmare. Take your pick. Out the right window was the vast sagebrush desert of the Intermountain West. More accurately, Nevada, my home, the Silver State, the sin capital of the world, the home of Burning Man and the Great Basin, and an eye-popping solitude that stretches across Utah all the way to the Rocky Mountains. We, the men of the Silverado, were riding high on the divide between these two different worlds, teetering on the razor's edge, walking the tightrope, strutting on the balance beam. We were simple funambulists. Look it up. And more importantly, we were on a mission to bring home turkeys, big Rio Grandes to be exact, the Meleagris Galapavo intermedia, for you scientific types. Out the windshield was a world of possibilities, a vanishing point of black tar where someone inside this truck might pose for a trophy photo with the main course for Thanksgiving dinner. The truck was properly provisioned with shotguns, suitcases, drinking water, beer, and hot dogs. Behind it, I pulled a pop-up tent trailer. The skies were clear, the weather hot, and we had 4 days to get it done. Reno was in our rear view, and out front awaited small towns and thunder chickens. Next to me sat Ray, a co-worker and fellow hunter. Ray was a world of contrasts. Imagine the humbleness of Mr. Rogers in the body of Lyle Alzado. He liked fishing in the afternoons, long barefoot strolls on the beach, and pina coladas at midnight. I'm not too sure about any of that, but what I do know is he was the excitable kind when it came to hunting. Get him talking guns or fishing poles and his eyes would take on this eerie, iridescent glow. Like multicolored LED lights in his brain suddenly sparked to life. "I know this place," he said, huddled inside my work cubicle. His words came out a little slurred, as if drunk on the idea. "I know this place where the turkeys are so thick that the wheat crops are being decimated. There might be a food shortage in the Central Valley if guys like us don't get down there quick to knock them down." I nodded along with him, looking into those LED eyes and picking up on his vibe. The message was loud and clear. We needed to save the planet from starvation by killing turkeys. A plan was hatched and licenses bought. We loaded the truck with enough shotgun shells to make Pancho Villa smile. We hit the town of Susanville like Hell's Angels rolling into Vegas. We took up a double spot at the gas pumps and crowded the restrooms for way too long before finding our way to the soda fountain and squeezing off extra shots when the cashier wasn't looking. It was a wild 10 minutes of old man mayhem. Back on the road, we crested the Sierras with sunlight blazing on our faces. Down the west slope, the scenery changed from pine trees to valley oaks with huge globes of green leaves held up by massive limbs that would make Hercules jealous. The change in scenery brought a hazy glow to the truck's interior, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. In the rear view, I glimpsed my dad's forehead plastered to the side window, his breath fogging up the glass. His eyes clicked along, checking under each bush for the twig-like legs of turkeys. Ray, who hadn't stopped talking for the last hour, suddenly went stone silent. He sat bolt upright in his seat. His arms hung like loose salamis at his sides, but his fingers twitched like they were either making sign language or loading shotgun shells into the invisible gun resting on his lap. Either way, turkey fever was spreading. We crossed a cattle guard, and the two of them jolted out of whatever trance had befallen them. Ray guided us to what he called the camp spot, which turned out to be an undeveloped red dirt lot next to a county road. There was a trail where we could quietly sneak off the hillside straight down into the heart of turkey country, and there was shade, plenty of cool shadows where we could set up the trailer and have some relief from the afternoon heat. A few minutes later, we were decked out head to toe in jungle camouflage and marching down a narrow trail, looking very much like three rejects from the CIA's Nicaraguan rebel army, shotguns held at the ready. I brought up the rear, stepping carefully, checking under bushes for northern Pacific rattlesnakes, a large ill-tempered nightmare of a snake that hangs out in the same places as turkeys. The local rattlers come in three popular colors: dark tan, rusty brown, and the fashion-forward red-on-white striped combo that I prefer. All of them seem to blend nicely into the... Ray raised a fist in the air, and we all stopped moving. He reached down between his feet and picked up a tail feather from a Rio and held it up for us to see. The tip was fluffy brown with long iridescent streaks running through the black veins. He pinched the feather delicately between his thumb and forefinger like it was a perfumed love letter. His eyes went misty. He ran the feather under his nose, breathing in the turkey scent. "We're close now, boys," he whispered. "We're very, very close." A far-off sound broke the silence, a forest noise, maybe an animal suddenly startled from its bed. Then it was gone, and we continued down the trail, dropping ever further into the dark, overgrown stream bottom, immersing ourselves in a forgotten world where turkeys live. 2 hours later, with no turkeys spotted and the afternoon shadows long, we struggled up the hill to camp, sweating, hungry, gasping for oxygen, and ready for an evening beer. Something had changed since we left. Shadows now hung over the truck and trailer. When we got closer, it became clear. The oak I parked under, the one I trusted to shade us from the heat, was, in reality, a gigantic sloth of sorts, 3 stories tall, with egg-shaped openings for eyes and a mouth with one bright tooth made of sunlight. While we were hunting, the tree decided to drop a thick limb on top of my truck, smashing the windshield, tearing off a mirror, and crushing the fiberglass canopy on the truck bed. Stunned, I gazed at the truck without knowing what to say. The limb still lay on top of the roof like a giant dead shark. In the distance, a flock of ducks quacked maniacally and lifted off a pond, looking like misshapen black balloons drifting across the far edge of the meadow before disappearing into the sky. What the hell happened here? I had unwittingly parked under the only tree for miles around with an unhinged limb, and that limb happened to snap off only minutes after we started down the trail. That was the noise I heard earlier. These oaks are really old, some about 600 years old. The limb might have been a little sprout when the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. Then, over the centuries, it hung there, holding on through rainstorms, strong winds, and maybe even forest fires before deciding today was the day. What were the odds of it dropping on me? 400 years times 365 days equals 146,000 possible opportunities when that limb could have fallen but didn't. That is, until today, when I parked under it. And within an hour, the branch snapped off. The limb was 30 feet long and 2 feet thick. We weren't going anywhere until it was removed. We had no tools except for a small bow saw I carried around for cutting firewood. I looked at Ray, the biggest of us, the person capable of bench pressing a small car. He already had his hand pressed into his lower back. He looked at me and said, "I can't lift that thing. I got a blown disc coming on." "Blown disc? Can you work a saw?" I asked sarcastically. "Can you move your arms back and forth, or are they broken too?" "We're gonna need a tow truck," he said and thumbed at his phone. "You know what?" my dad said. his eyes turned upward, inspecting the underside of the tree. Least we weren't sleeping when it happened. This is true. If I had parked the trailer just a little differently, the limb could have landed on us, possibly at night, killing someone. And with that realization, a reflective peace came upon us. But it didn't last for long. I heard them coming down the road. A battalion of backwoods mutters rolled up the 2-lane in our direction. Mutters are off-road people, the kind who like stripping Jeep Wranglers down to the bare minimum and driving through mud puddles. Their thick rubber tires thundered off the pavement. Sawed-off tailpipes sounded like an artillery bombardment. A woman wearing a jeans vest stood on the passenger seat of the lead vehicle, her red hair blown back. She held onto the windshield and looked like a Netflix version of General Patton leading the 7th Army into Sicily. She directed the others to follow her lead. The parade slowed and dropped off the pavement into our camp, circling us. The rigs were 10 feet tall and not a single one had doors. CB radio antennas whipped in the wind with assorted miniature flags flying off the tips. I counted them. There were 2 American flags, a flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, a Gadsden, the Don't Tread on Me flag, and the flag of the great state of Texas. A raccoon tail fluttered in the breeze. Hank Williams Jr.'s A Country Boy Can Survive blared from a set of speakers mounted on a roll bar. Saw it right off, a buck-toothed driver shouted over the music. He wore a ball cap with a Bud Light patch on the front and a tank top featuring a disproportionately top-heavy girl in a string bikini. Mirrored sunglasses, Tom Selleck's mustache, and a golf ball-sized wad of Red Man completed the picture. Saw it when we came by earlier, he went on. Dang widowmakers. You got a chainsaw or anything, I asked? Don't need one. Why's that? A guy in a rusted-out Cherokee pulled to the front of the line. His rig was painted 2-tone white and black with custom-welded black tubular bumpers. Behind the wheel sat a kid with a James Dean haircut, mirrored glasses on the tip of his nose, and a white undershirt stretched across his chest. One of those pine tree air fresheners dangled from the rearview mirror. The rig roared like a lion, kicked dirt like a rhino, and stood taller than a giraffe on stilts. The license plate read, "Unstable." He got that right. "Say, partner," I said, "if you guys have a saw I could borrow, I'd sure appreciate it." Cherokee climbed out, opened his rear hatch, and threw a thick yellow tow strap on the ground. "Look here," I said, "I don't need a tow yet. I just got to get that limb off my truck." Seconds later, he had the tow strap tossed over a higher limb. He attached it to the tow hook under his bumper. 2 other guys jumped out and tied a couple of loops around the limb's girth. Within a minute, the limb was swinging in the air. I pulled the Silverado out from under it. There was cheering and horn honking. The rednecks all came around to shake hands with us. I offered them beer, but they weren't interested. Instead, they hooked the limb to each Jeep and held a county fair-style truck pull in our front yard, dragging that limb in wide arcs around the field and spinning donuts close to the trailer for the better part of a half hour. Have at it, boys, I thought. You earned it.
I watched all this with a dumbfounded look on my face. Was the timing of the tree limb and the mutters showing up just a cosmic blip on the screen? Or something else? It's one thing to believe in God, but to believe that the same God who allowed the tree limb to destroy your truck had also provided a half-dozen fanatical four-wheelers at the exact moment I needed them. Are you kidding me?
Afterward, my dad and I and Ray hunted another full day. In the afternoon, we came upon a single turkey, a Jake, not the colorful blue-headed bully of Thanksgiving dinnerware we all know and love, but a thinner, prettier, well-groomed man about town. The only problem in shooting him was the nicely decorated ranch-style home he posed in front of. It seems blasting a bird off someone's manicured lawn in broad daylight is considered by some folks to be a hunting faux pas and might possibly land one of us in jail. We let him slide for now. We made it home by Sunday night driving with the smashed-in windshield, and luckily didn't get pulled over. I still don't have an answer to the big picture meaning of all of it, but it makes me think of Ibn Battuta, the famed 14th century explorer who said traveling leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller. no doubt.
Nature Call's secret to success is 2 strong coffees and a bran muffin.
Coming up this weekend from noon till 4, WBLY will be broadcasting live from Al Wassler's House of Tar. There'll be reduced admission during the broadcast, and as a special attraction, Stump Johnson's World of Angry Animals will perform every hour on the hour. So bring the whole family out and enjoy ballpark franks and ice-cold soft drinks for just 10 cents each. That's Al Wassler's House of Tar, this weekend from noon till 4. Don't fail to miss it.
I'm Igor Fumbleton for the Nature Calls podcast. Tiny arms are going away. This revelation has recently come to light as the question of why the T-Rex dinosaur had such small arms for such a large body. Scientists contend that the dinosaur's arms shrank over time because their jaws became so large and strong that arms were no longer needed. These same scientists recently set up experiments at Olive Garden restaurants and were surprised to record customers abandoning their forks and slurping spaghetti noodles right off their plates as the move for removing unnecessary plastic takes hold over the world. This new trend in dining options will soon be available in the Napa Sonoma catalog, featuring a table setting that only includes 4 shallow bowls, perfect for sinking your face into a steaming pile of franks and beans and thereby saving the planet. Bon appetit, everybody. And in other dino news, a research company on a small island off the Costa Rican coast has discovered how to recreate dinosaur eggs using a 3D printer. The artificial eggs work the same as natural chicken eggs by allowing oxygen and carbon dioxide to pass through the hard surface while preventing bacteria from forming inside the egg. This will be a huge step towards bringing back extinct dinosaurs. The next step will be to hatch a very aggressive species called Velociraptor and allow them to escape from their cages. This will be followed by hatching a clone of Dr. Alan Grant, Dr. Ellie Sattler, Dr. Ian Malcolm, and clones of those adorable children who get terrorized by the T-Rex. Let's see how this ends up, shall we?
All right, let's get some music going. Our guest for this episode is Georgia-born troubadour Zach Stich. Zach brings humor and heart to his sharp storytelling style. He's got a straight-up Americana sound and weaves his wit and warmth into the songs. Zach has graced stages from the Cahuta Song Fest and Ellijay Songwriters Festival in North Georgia. Following his 2023 debut album titled Towards the Storm, Zach released his highly anticipated full-length album, Till They Put Me in the Ground, in November of 2025. This new body of work delves even deeper into his clever songwriting abilities and genuine storytelling. So, without further ado, here's Zach Stich with his latest single, Bristol, Tennessee.
Laid off at the factory last week. Well, I'm just trying to make ends meet. I hatched up a little plan from what I learned in Afghanistan and robbed a bank in eastern Tennessee. Lord, what's gotten hold of me? Headed north to Bristol, Tennessee. 5 days on the run, I robbed a bank with my 6 gun. Lord, what's gotten hold of me? Watching the miles go flying by, laying low and getting high, sticking to those back roads, you know, the ones that locals know, and winding through the hills of Tennessee. Lord, what's gotten hold of me? Headed north to Bristol, Tennessee. 5 days on the run, I robbed a bank with my 6 gun. Lord, what's gotten hold of me? Saw my face on the local TV, they're telling folks to call in if they see. Much to my chagrin, some bastard turned me in and they locked me up right here in Tennessee. Lord, please keep a hold of me, rotting in this jail in Tennessee. They'll hang me for what I've done in a room built for 2, big enough for none. Lord, please keep a hold of me. Lord, please keep a hold of me.
The Merchandise Mart is having their biggest sale ever.
All merchandise reduced as much as 80%.
On items you need and want.
Drastic savings throughout the store.
In addition to our regular inventory, our buyers have scoured the area for demonstrators, scratch and dent models, and manufacturers' overstocks.
Extended shopping hours for this extravaganza, 6 a.m. to midnight.
Free parking for all customers.
Don't miss this sale.
Our friendly staff will be working overtime to serve you better.
The Merchandise Mart is conveniently located for your shopping convenience.
Get your ass down there.
From the technology desk, Southwest Airlines announced last week that it is banning humanoid robots from traveling in the same cabin space as the humans. From now on, all robots must be checked with the rest of the baggage. This comes on the heels of a troubling flight last week from Dallas to Las Vegas involving a robot named Vinny, who was caught smoking cigarettes in the restroom and was then ordered to remain in his seat, but proceeded to get sloppy drunk and chase a blonde flight attendant around in the galley, groping her over the drink cart. They finally managed to catch Vinny and tie him into his seat, but not before he tried sticking his pecker into a USB port and hijacking the plane. Robots, am I right?
You might remember our musical guest, Zach Stich, from earlier this season when he performed on episode 2. We're really blessed to have him back on again. Here he is with a song called Barflies, right here on the Nature Calls podcast.
She was peeling back the label, sitting at a corner table, wondering how she ended up right here. Wasn't long ago, it seems, well, she was young, full of dreams, but now they've all but disappeared. They say time that flies when you're having fun. The truth is, it flies on just the same. He was staring at an empty glass, waiting on the time to pass. He tried to think back on a brighter day. He was young, full of potential. Now he feels inconsequential. His world of color has faded into gray. Well, some things are easier said than done, and some things never change. A smile, a glance, he's gonna take a chance. He offers a drink in his name, a song, a dance, oh, and circumstance. The troubles fade as the jukebox plays. Flies on just the same. Some things are easier said than done. Some things never change. Is it forever just tonight? Who cares, for now it's right. Share a smile and not feel so alone. In the morning will he stay, or just be another mistake? If she awakes to find out that he's gone, some things never change.
Well, it's once again time to load the dogs in the front and kids in the back and get some wind in my hair. It's been fun wasting time with y'all. Nature Calls is a production of Siegfried and Sonatube Publishing. Our sound engineer is Scat Bear, post-production by Marlo Wingerback, and produced by Hammer Good Times. Recording was made at Dandelion Studios in Wahoo County, Colorado. The show writers are James McHugh and Dick Hatfield. Our musical guest, Zach Stich, can be reached at ZACHSTICH SICH.com.